What techniques do you teach?
I only teach one. I teach the Strasberg Method, which is one of what I call the big three: Adler, Meisner, Strasberg. They all came out of the group theater in New York. They were all disciples of Stanislavski. That's what I teach.
Why does this technique matter?
Well, let me answer a different question.
Okay.
The Strasberg technique really focuses on relaxation and concentration. That's the whole point of it. A student works on being still and clearing and calming their mind and keeping their body or their instrument relaxed, so that when, through whatever means necessary, they, which I can get into, but they feel something, the instrument is relaxed and can react to that feeling in a truthful way. It's all about truthful emotion, as Meisner said, being real in imaginary circumstances. And that's exactly what that's after.
Oh, why does technique matter? Yeah.
I think technique is important for an actor for many reasons. I won't go into all of them right now, but I think for me, it's because it's a foundation. There's a lot of young actors that have gotten into film and television, especially, mostly, that are just naturally gifted, and they have the ability to be in front of a camera and take on a persona, and they might be really good looking or quirky and interesting looking, and they get started in film and TV with very little training and do really, really well. And then over time, though, they've kind of maxed out their capabilities. And then now they're famous or they're working more and they get burned out, or they just can't quite get to the next level of being a great actor. And then they just go away, and it's a real shame. They don't have any experience on the stage usually. And I think every actor at any age should study some sort of technique. I don't care which one, even though I teach Strasberg, it could be Meisner, Adler, Chubbuck, etc. We're going to hear about a lot, I hear, in this video. I don't know the names of all of them, but something to ground yourself as an actor, so you have something to fall back on in the midst of everything that's going on around you.
How long does one need to study any acting technique?
I think it takes a good amount of time for an actor to really learn any technique. I always make it like this. Let's say that you wanted to be the first chair violinist for the New York Philharmonic. That's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. When somebody watches a violin concerto with the lead, the first chair violinist play, they can watch that and go, wow, I can't do that. That's hard. I can see how hard that is, all the detail that goes into that. They must have been doing this since they were 5. But when somebody sees a really, really good actor perform, it looks effortless. And so most actors kind of go, well, all they did was stand there and say those words. How hard can that be? I can do that. Kind of like how I feel when I go into a modern art museum and I see a red dot on a white canvas, and I'm like, really? I can do that, you know. So how long should they study? Long enough so that they become a master of it, so that they understand the basic fundamentals of it, but then they practice it. It's like if you're going to learn to play the violin, you've got to learn how to hold the violin. You've got to learn how to hold the bow, how to tune the strings, how to rosin the bow, how to make a note, and then how to finger the note and change the note. And then you've got to learn scales, and then you've got to learn to play those scales without thinking about it, without even looking. Same thing true for acting. You've got to be able to you've got to be inured to the practices so that when you go to perform, you're not thinking about what you're doing. It just comes naturally, and that takes time. I tell my students 1 year to get it really good, 2 years to master it. When Strasberg was teaching back in the day before he passed, he wouldn't let his students work on what's called effective memory, which is kind of like the graduate level stuff, for 2 years. You had to be in his class for 2 years before he let you do like the main exercise. I make my students wait about 1 year. So, because I don't think most students in this market will stay in class that long to wait for something.
once a technique is learned, is it necessary to continue practicing that technique?
Yes, I just answered that a little bit, but yes, absolutely. Again, I'll go back to my violinist comparison. Do you think the first chair violinist from the New York Philharmonic just sits around all week waiting for the concert on Friday night? No, they practice every single day. And an actor needs to be practicing something. It doesn't matter if it's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 10 minutes, something every day or every other day to keep their craft up to speed so that they're always sharp. Waiting around for an email to come in to tell you there's an audition and then getting your act together is not a good way to go about it, in my opinion. And this is for actors who've been at it their entire lives or ones that are just getting started. That's my opinion. Doesn't mean it's right. It's my opinion.
How long should a new actor study before they're ready to start auditioning?
When someone's a brand new actor getting started who has no experience, stage-wise, nothing, and they're studying a technique, I think they should wait until they are able to perform in front of their classmates without getting nervous. If they can, once they're to the point where they can perform in front of their classmates consistently and reach the emotional reality that they want in scenes consistently, then it's time to go out and audition. That's my opinion. Most people don't follow that, though. They want to get into it right away. They start my class and they start talking about getting headshots and agent and how can I do this and how can I do that. And I'm like, easy, Tiger. One step at a time.
Is there a benefit to studying more than one technique?
Absolutely. I tell my students, if this is the first time you've studied a technique, let's say you're starting with Strasberg, once you've got this figured out where you understand everything and now you're in the practice mode of it, I want you to go out and try Meisner, go out and try Chubbuck, do improv, do some theater, work with other actors and come up with things to work on with them. But yes, they need to practice. What was the question again?
Is there a benefit to studying more than one technique?
Yes, there is a benefit to studying more than one technique because at the end of the day, you're not going to be a Strasbergian or a Meisnerian or a Chubbickian or whatever the words are for these different techniques or Alexandrian. You're going to be you. It's the Jayson technique. It's the Grant technique at the end of the day. Because you're going to take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that works for you. Not everything in what I teach works for all of my students. Some of them just don't get it, or it doesn't work for them as well. And they might find something in a Meisner class or a practical aesthetics class, or learning that technique, not a weekend workshop, but learning it that they can then incorporate into them. So yes, you should study all of them.
What do you think will make all actors in Atlanta market better actors?
Everything I just said. I think what would make Atlanta actors in this market better is that even those who are doing well, the people who are booking every year, they're getting those recurring guest stars, maybe even the series regular and a pilot, or maybe even a series regular, should be doing something for their craft, just like going to the gym. And if they will do that, they can continue to work. Even after their big job on some big show ends, they can move on to something else. I want to say this. I find that there's a lot of actors that come to this market, especially the newer ones, who aren't really interested in being actors. They're interested in being on film and being on television. They're not interested in acting. So they want the shortest route possible to get there. And I have people like that in my class from time to time, and they don't stick around usually. They're not willing to do the work. They're not willing to do, and they don't enjoy doing the work. And I think if the actors in the Atlanta market can figure out some way to actually enjoy being an actor, then that rising tide will lift all boats.
Why do you teach?
It's funny, when I was younger, I always wanted to be a teacher of something. I don't know, maybe because I'd watch teachers in movies and it was romantic, like, it looks cool, you can help people. You know, I saw Dead Poet Society maybe one time too many. I was reluctant to become a teacher, but I had two different people that I trust and respect tell me that, hey man, it's time for you to start teaching based upon the work that you've done as an actor and the studying you've done as an actor. It's time for you to pass something along. And I'm like, that's a good idea. I don't do it for free. I'll be honest with you though, if I was some kind of a trust fund kid, or I won the lottery, or was some big time movie star and I had the time, I would teach for free. I would. I enjoy it that much. Because I'm helping people skip all of the pain and misery and mistakes that I made when I was younger, or at least I'm, at least giving them the opportunity to do that, and hopefully letting them let those people enjoy acting the way that I do, or let those people realize more quickly that this is not the industry for them and maybe they need to do something else. That's why I teach.
And lastly, what's your guilty pleasure?
My guilty pleasure, watching videos of people doing stupid things and falling off bicycles and skateboards and motorcycles, and I can just watch that for hours. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I really enjoy watching people hurt themselves. It's a guilty pleasure. All right, thanks, man.